we kill the power on the.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a great idea to put it in the middle.
Yeah, it's not.
Because then outside, as far as Comcast, you can watch it online. They can't hear you.
Got it. So we got to pull it to one of the other. Got it.
Okay, we'll open this
Was a good thing.
public forum. The topic is Sand Island Marine Campground, partnership with St. Helens Sand Island Campground LLC. So how this became about was we were approached. Actually, we've had a vagrant boater problem on our docks, and we were trying to remedy a way of being able to not have homeless people sleeping on our docks. So we had talked to the Marine Board, and they said, well, you can charge up to a $2 fee and still get funding from us. So, but then Brad approached the city and said, hey, you know, I've been thinking about the island. I look over it every day, and it's not utilized like it could be, the potential that it, potentially how it could be. And we said, yeah, you're right. And it cost us money to get over there and mow the yards, and he offered to go into a lease agreement with the city that would open up to the public at a small charge. If you own a boat, you can still go over. Day use is free. It's still a city park, but if you're camping, you will have to go through the LLC here. So, and that's how this became. So if you guys would like to do a little bit of a presentation, if you have something, probably not. I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
Do you want to do the
Brad,
song and
you
dance?
like
Or-
to-
Yeah.
Eventually, I know that in talks is that you guys would like to get into potentially renting boats and maybe wave runners. Is that correct?
That is correct. We've already have all those assets are already in place. So we're just trying to turn the island into more of a recreational kind of an area. I mean, it's the biggest park we have in the city.
Yep.
I don't know what the percentage of boat owners are in St. Helens, but I'm going to guess at least half don't have a boat, have no way to get over there.
Yep.
So the whole shuttle system that we'll put in place that'll allow our neighbors to get over there, they can have a good time during the day. If they want to camp, then they're going to be involved in the campground. There's going to be fees just like any state campground like Fort Stevens or anything. But there is going to be, there'll be jet skis to rent. There'll be little sailboats to rent. There'll be, kayaks. There's all kinds of things that we're going to plan. There'll be, maybe concerts over there. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can do in the future. But yes, we've owned the marina for 23 years. We've looked at that island as an asset for the city that's been underutilized, and we're going to try to help.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's currently 37 spots over there, right?
Correct.
Correct. And then the boater overnight would be a $2 fee, but that allows you to be able to police the docks as far as if we have any vagrant boaters.
And not just the Sand Island docks, but the city docks.
The city
That
docks
is something
as
we've
well.
talked about. Yes, you have
Yes.
very undesirable people that are coming here that most of the public don't know,
Yes,
and
they
they're
don't.
sitting on our docks. They don't work. They live on 25-foot boats, and they stay here and they use up all our facilities, and they're not a positive influence at all.
Mhm.
So this will allow us to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do, only staying the time that they're allotted by the State Marine Board, and then they move on. So yes, it is going to allow us. A lot of you guys again don't know. There's homeless camps on that island. We've had people over there for 2 and 3 months at a time. We will have a camp host over there. We'll be able to monitor the island every day. So we'll know what's going on, and we'll be able to keep things on the straight and narrow.
So I will testify that I came over there onto the island last year, about a little bit later than this time of year, and walked to the backside, and there was a guy that had been camping there for quite some time, you could tell, and it was illegally fishing because the river was closed. So on my way back, I'm seen the state officer, and I said, hey, there's somebody over there. And but that is currently the only way to actually police that is if a citizen actually was to say something. Now, we've had an issue over there with somebody camping with his family, and there was a homeless guy over there acting erratically, appeared to be on drugs. The guy had a concealed carry. The guy came close to his family, was stabbing the ground with a screwdriver, and had to threaten him that if he came any closer to him or his family, that he has his concealed carry. And unfortunately, the city does not have a police boat. So we have no way of monitoring who is over there doing what. So we do have a little bit of an issue for those of you who do not know, okay? So I want to make that clear. So, okay, I appreciate that. I think that was pretty much what we need to hear for right now. Why don't we go ahead and open it up for people in favor of. So I'm going to have you guys jump up so they can come up to the table now.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
We'll get out of the way.
So if you're in favor of and would like to speak, come on up. Okay. Oh, here we go.
I am in favor of. Our family's been over to Sand Island. We enjoy Sand Island a lot.
Oh, yep.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You have to
good.
state your your name for the record.
My name is Marianne Abdal.
Yes, and you have to be close,
Close to the mic?
Yeah, it doesn't pick you up very well. So,
Oh, very good.
yep.
Our family enjoys Sand Island, and we use it frequently. And we've been disappointed around the 4th of July time when we've gone to use the island that it's had to be monitored by police when we've been over there camping in the evening. And so I am for a more structured system over on the island. It does not appear that it's going to be hindering people to go over there, but it will supply an opportunity for the island to be increased in its use, people who don't have boats to go over, improvements on the island. Andrew's company is very aware of how to provide sanitation facilities that will meet the needs of the island without becoming a detriment to the river itself. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Doug Walker. Yeah, I too am in favor of better utilization of the island. It's a great facility. It's a great asset to the city and to boaters and to our residents here. My concern is that a few years ago, when there was a shuttle service that was set up for a while there, that we wound up with a lot of vandalism and theft from the boats on the docks down there. Undesirable people were going over. There was fights. There was a lot of problems. You mentioned yourself that there's no police boat. How are we going to get law enforcement over there when it's necessary? If there's some incident that occurs that the host needs some help with, how are we going to get enforcement over there?
Okay.
And my other question is, Brad mentioned the city docks. Will this program or this plan include the city docks and the Sand Island docks?
Yes.
That's
it will
that's
include
affirmative.
both. Yes. It will include both. And so the answer to your question, because I know I didn't cover everything, but the answer to your question was we talked to the county, and we actually have 2 police officers, or just the one?
Just one by the state.
Just one that is state certified to actually go over, and but he also he's a trainer. He can actually train a few of our officers, and the county has said if you have an absolute issue that needs to be addressed, you can use one of our boats, which is moored down here at Dillard's. So, yep.
All right. Thank
But
you.
the key is there's going to be a camp host over
Yes.
there. So the camp host will try and take care of most things, but they will have a radio, and as soon as there's any problems, they'll radio over here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, my name's Dennis Krieger, and I'm a member of the St. Helens Yacht Club here in town. Also a member of Dolphin Yacht Club. Our 2 clubs host a Halloween cruise at the island every year. We've been doing it for 15, 20 years
Yep.
over there.
Yep.
So my question will be, how will bigger groups like that still be able to use the facilities?
Sure.
And Is there going to have to be like a reservation type system in place? And we sometimes get 100 boats come to that event. So I as the host need to know in advance, do I need to plan on moving this event, or what are those answers?
Can we bring Brad?
I
back to
think,
answer?
and I will bring Brad back to answer, but we had talked about also like spring fishing on the backside of the island where there's not really campgrounds. Those type of traditions originally were not going to be enforced. On something like yours, I imagine it would be write down the whole numbers of your group. I know you have some people participating during the day, but they don't have to pay
Okay.
because they're just a day use. They're not an overnight.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily against it. I'm just
So he would probably grab a bulk whole number, which whole numbers are license plates on a boat, for those of you who don't know out there, okay? And he would grab just the whole numbers and have them in your group.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's something we have to get prepared in advance. Let Brad or whoever's
Brad's right in the back. by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
and maybe some of those answers aren't available today. But
I would assume. I mean, since the spook cruise has been going on for years, and
Yes.
it's kind of a tradition. So we're not going to break traditions here.
Okay.
If things have been going on for years, they're going to stay going on.
all right,
I'll-
good.
I'd like to make certain that we bring Brad back to answer these specific
I'm
questions.
writing it down. Yep, I'm writing it down.
Okay?
Okay.
Or Andrew.
Yes. Yeah, you want to come up over here, Brad?
Thank
Yep,
you.
just come up and have a seat, I guess.
Well, right here, around.
Yep.
You can go this way. I'm going this way. Yeah. Just don't shut me off.
And then you just,
What's this full of, topaz?
Got it? So if I heard the question right, it was about the docks
The
and
spook
about
cruise, yes.
spook cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have, other than enforcing what happens on the docks, we're not changing anything. They're a state marine board dock. If you own a boat and you buy a sticker, your registration, that's what pays for those docks. So that's up and down the Columbia River system, right? I mean, that's one of the great things you get to see about some money coming back to us for those fees. So no, we're not doing a thing on those docks other than policing them.
Okay.
That's our deal.
Back to my question though, are we going to have some sort of a reservation?
Do you need one now?
no,
Well-
I'm talking for the island itself, for the actual.
So for the
spook
island,
part.
for the island
For spook
itself,
cruise, you're
Yeah,
talking
for the
about.
spook.
Yeah. So if it would be great to organize it with us.
Okay.
Absolutely. So that we know what's going on. I mean,
Sure.
we made the entire campground could be all rented out, but we have a day use facility, and the spook cruise is a huge thing in our town, right? I mean, Halloween Town is one of the biggest things we have going on. So we've already talked about a huge bonfire down there and some witches brew at the south end of the island. I mean, there's some ideas that are happening right now, but yeah, no, the whole point is utilizing the asset.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, whatever it takes to get more people over there, fantastic.
All right. Very good. That's all I had.
We're getting there. The people are in favor of.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, I'm just speaking for the people that tend to rent the island, and I can tell you that when we did the Tina Curry,
Yeah.
when we did the Maritime Heritage Festival on the island, it was really just so much more work because nothing was taken care of. There were, evidence of human life in the restrooms. There was garbage everywhere. There was shotgun holes, and it was just a huge hassle to even be on that island. So I'm really for it to have anybody over there that is caring for it, watching, and just being there as a good steward to the environment that is on that island.
Hi, I'm Carmen Dunn. I'm on the Parks Commission, so I just wanted to come and kind of listen in to hear feedback from the community, but I'm in favor of it. My family has never been to Sand Island because we don't have a boat, and I'm on the Parks Commission, and I've never been there, and that's kind of silly. So I just think about all the people in the community who don't have access to it. So I'm in favor of getting it used and having more people go over there. So
To see your biggest park.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know I've never been there. It's
We just
silly.
had a big eagle fly over the marina this morning coming from there. There's big, I mean, it's fantastic. It really is. It's a shame that some people can't see it.
Yeah, I'm in favor, but I also think it's important to listen to all the questions that come up today and take those back and consider them and figure out how we're going to make it work and make the community happy in the big picture. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and Howard? Mhm.
Howard Blumenthal. I'm also on the Parks Commission, and we've discussed it for a while that, you know, it would make it probably a safer area if we do something like what we're talking about. My next comment is probably more, has nothing to do with them, but I just want to make sure that we keep it affordable for people. You know, if it's, what is it, Scappoose Bay Marine Park is $30 a night, but they have power, water, and everything else. We're talking about primitive campgrounds. I doubt there's water out there and stuff, and Hoodoo and stuff in the Sisters Ranger District. You're only $16 to $18 a night for a campsite that you drive into. So I just want to make sure that we keep it affordable for our citizens. So other than that, I think it's a great idea.
All right, thank you. Anybody else in favor of? Hey, how about neutral? Oh, you're coming up in favor of?
I'll come in as neutral.
Okay, neutral.
Ken Force here, neutral. I'm interested in knowing about how the fee is going to be collected. I'd like to know that somebody could paddle over there and find that there was a fee required to spend the night and be able to pay it on site with a drop box or something of that nature, particularly an electronic online means of paying the fee digitally, such that you arrive there, you don't have a wallet or cash, and you could still stay without having to paddle back to shore and make a reservation somewhere over here. That wouldn't make sense to me. A nominal fee shouldn't become a hassle for somebody who discovers that when they arrive.
Yes, there's going to be an online registration. So just like any state park, you'll be able to go online, pick out a campsite, pay for it. Yeah, so that's in the process. It's, again, we just got this, we're looking at this as of Monday. So we're 2 days into, being able to do things. So, yeah, that's in process. That's what we want to do.
So it will be a fee associated with a state park collection system, and it will be digitally available.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Other neutral.
I'm in favor,
I think. Okay.
I'm in favor.
I'd like to sway a few more of you, I'm hoping.
I'm Philip Stanton. I'm just a part-time resident in St. Helens. But I've been here for maybe 10 or 11 years now. Mostly, I have a house up on 2nd Street, so mostly I've been I'm an observer of St. Helens. And always I always feel like St. Helens is on the edge of sort of getting around that economic bind that they feel like they've been in, especially Old Town. A lot of the places, the retail places have been closed and boarded up. And they're actually, it's a wonderful place even when it's boarded up, in my opinion. But it's all, the people struggle here, I think, and particularly in Old Town. And my observation is, I come from a background in Portland. That's where I lived most of my life there, on Mississippi Street, and watching Mississippi Street develop. And it was tough at the beginning there to develop and to have organizations come in and take over control of things that we felt that we had control of at the beginning, to have bigger developers come in, to have even the development itself feel like an intrusion on our private lives and on our control of that street. But looking back on it, as a business owner on that street, it was super helpful in the long run to the overall development of that street, which is now super successful in its own right and has its own problems. You used to have your car stolen there, and now you can't park on that street. Different problems, but they're still there. And I see it at St. Helens. It's just a lovely place. My heart is here, and I hope actually to retire here someday. But in terms of Old Town, in terms of development, I feel like Brad's probably on the right track, that you need to on Sand Island, it is a great gift. It's a great jewel of this place. I look over it and I'm like, and I hadn't been out there in the first 9 years I was here. I never went out there because I didn't have a boat. And then Tony invited to drive me out there one day. And then I brought my kids out there, and we spent for the next 3 days. I'm like, can you take us back? Because it's just a very special place, and I never would have gone there. So from my own perspective, I feel like that was a fantastic thing for me, and it made me even more fall in love with St. Helens, for one thing. But it also exposed me to a part of St. Helens that was completely surprising and new, and I would like other people to have that experience. And the other thing that I think of is if somebody was on that island, in terms of homeless people, which we want to support all people of all economic endeavors, but you want to not be in a position where people establish themselves in a place and feel comfortable there, and then you have to tell them to leave. I think it's better to have somebody negotiating with them and telling people what the situation is very early. So if you had somebody on the island, I think it would dissipate a lot of the problems there in a way that would be less volatile than if you don't have somebody there, and then you come in with people and say, oh yeah, you can't be here. You've been here 3 months, but you got to leave now. That is difficult. So those are my thoughts. Anyways, thanks.
So, and I agree with the homeless. I just want to make that clear that they had taken, spray painted a boat down here and got it all over our dock, for crying out loud. How do you go after them for repairs of a dock that they oversprayed their boat in the water, mind you? How good is that for the environment? I love that Columbia River. Other people that are neutral.
Good evening. My name is Molly Matchek. I moved here August 1st. I've been coming up here for 4 years. I'm going to be starting a business. I'm all for Sand Island. I watched this town for 7 months, and the frustrating thing for me is they drive in, they turn around, and they go because there's nothing to do here. So bringing activities, especially on the water, I've talked to a few people, kite festivals, just stuff to bring people down here to do things. It's a jewel. It's a great place, and I'm going to be investing here, and I want to see it happen. So thank you.
You didn't sound very neutral, but that's fine.
Yeah. Other people that, yep.
I wanted to.
Could you state your name
first off? My name is Richard Mason. I'm a retired citizen that I live just down on River Street in the Yachts Landing townhouse community. We call it the compound. I wanted to find out now, the people that can go over to the island, they're going to get there on their own power, right?
Correct.
There's not going to be providing any type of shuttle service or...
No.
No?
There's going to be a public shuttle. Yeah, there's going to be a shuttle service to get people over to the island that don't have a boat.
Okay.
So the people that are going over to the island right now with their boat, they're basically going to get to keep doing what they've been doing all this time.
Is that going to be a Coast Guard certified
Being
pilot?
that it's a free shuttle, I've already checked with the Coast Guard, we don't need it. As long as it's a free shuttle. If you charge for a shuttle service, then you have to have a Coast Guard license, a six-pack license.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I just don't want to see what happened about 5 years ago.
Well, the point is, you can't have, and I don't mean this bad with teenagers. I don't know if we have any in the crowd, but anyway.
Lunch out here for
All right,
Mr. Musum's class.
You don't
Sure.
take 10, 13-year-olds and drop them off on the island. You can take, 4 with a parent or a parents or whatever, then they're supervised. Okay. But you do not take unsupervised kids over to the island on the shuttle. That's going to be one of the rules. You got to. We're still refining everything, obviously, but 18 and over, or you have to have a guardian. So.
Okay. And as far as the transient boater, how do you really plan to enforce that? Because the city isn't enforcing it now.
That's because the city's not enforcing it right now. Not saying anything bad about the city, but they don't have the manpower to do it. Okay. I live down there, so we have I have employees there 7 days a week. So every single day we will take a inventory of the docks, Sand Island, city docks. We'll know what the boats that are there, and the boats that are problems, they will be charged $2 a day, and then they will be made or enforced to leave. One of the things I'd like to bring up with the city is possibly changing the rules on those docks and make it 72 hours or permit only after that or something that we can really narrow down the time. Because even 7 days on some of these people are not.
It used to be 72.
That's what I thought
I've
it
lived here all my life. It used to be 3 days
what I
stay, and you had to.
Well, it's also supposed to be 2 hours for any boat that's unattended. And
Good
like
point.
I said, it's
not enforced.
Nothing's enforced.
Correct.
There are blatant abusers that I see. There's one down there right now that's been there over a week.
We haven't figured out what to do with those boats. We don't have any place to put them. We don't have any.
Well, see, that's the
anything
problem.
to take them out of the water.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the problem is there is no way to enforce because these people, they have no money. It's a derelict boat. They don't care.
Actually, there is. If you put tickets on their boats, and if they haven't moved them after a period of time, then they are towed.
Yep.
And they don't have the money to bring them back. Then it's over. It's done.
But the state is having a budget shortfall from all the boats that they are
Well,
actually having to tow.
I've walked down. Brad, you know me. I walk by the marina almost every day.
Yep.
So and I walk down to the docks. I've never seen a ticket on any of those boats down there.
It's all about enforcement.
Yeah.
You have to be there. You have to be there. You have to be black and white with people, and it has to be enforced, period.
Let me weigh in on this since you are painting a picture that there's no enforcement, and I will disagree wholeheartedly on that. We have 5-day week coverage down there of our code enforcement officer who has issued citations. St. Helens Police Department actually arrested a boater who failed to leave the dock, and we do issue citations. So towing a boat is not as easy as everybody thinks about because in the state of Oregon, a homeless boater, as it's called, regardless if they're homeless or not, and they're violating an ordinance, what we look at, not their social status, is that if they are homeless, that is their house. We don't simply go into somebody's house and take it, and that's what the court of law, that's the hang up on towing the boat. So we have to do our due diligence in the court of law before we start towing boats. We've already started researching this. But to sit here and say the St. Helens Police Department's what I'm interpreting as not enforcing it is complete farce. Now, we cannot be down there 24/7,
right?
Okay, because we have other responsibilities in the city, which leads us to other issues. But just so for the record to show that we do enforce it 5 days a week when we have coverage, we have issued many citations who people have been fined. And we have even arrested people for trespass because they refused to leave. So I just want to state that for the record.
And I would like to, because I would like to pony off a little bit what he's saying. I know the county sheriff has not towed boats before because of liability purposes, period. The minute they hook up, they are liable.
Yeah. Well, I understand that county
So-
really has no jurisdiction down there on the docks.
And I actually apologize because I know the example that I had about them being cited was from you guys citing them. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Okay. Other people that are neutral.
My name is Shauna Harrison. I reside in St. Helens. I've been here my whole life. I'm very vocal down here. I think something does need to be done, but everybody that's gotten up here has brought up the transient problem. And the problem is that Brad isn't going to solve the transient problem. Brad's going to offer an opportunity for some other options to have more usability, but we have got a serious vulnerable sector problem going on in our city, and it is exasperating by the day, and I think it's really about time you guys heed call to it. So it's not only pervious to the island, it's all over our parks. And I have big concerns about Brad putting himself in a vulnerable position because Brad is not the police and he can only do so much. So I think that if we're going to have this much activity going on there, we are going to need proper policing also available for him. You know, there's also, you know, who's going to be responsible if something happens over there to somebody? Where's, you know, the line sand going to be? You know, well, you were on public space or you were at the private LLC campground, you know, who's, you know, going to be responsible if somebody has a heart attack at 2 a.m. and they can't get off of the island. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I feel like, as unfortunately I feel kind of typical down here, they just get, you know, the idea sounds great, we'll hurry up and approve it, and then while we have it's problem after problem after problem because we're not looking at the foresight of what's going on. You know, I know that we're looking to do a detox center over in the old hospital. You know, we've got a lot of stuff about vulnerable sectors of people we're bringing into our community, and if we care about livability, you guys are going to have to appropriate some money for some education about addiction and poverty, period. That's not going to go away with the campground on the island. And every single person that has got up here has said something about transients or homeless people. And Mr. Locke, we are not here because we're complaining, as you mentioned when we all were walking in, about the island. We're here because we care. We care about our community, and we all live here, and more people are moving here every day. And we want to see our preservation of our small town and not turn into Gresham where I got to worry about somebody carjacking me, because literally that almost happened 3 weeks ago. Somebody tried to get into my car. Thank God I was locked in at 10 o'clock at night on 162nd and Gleason. And all the things and all the places that you guys are going here, you guys are just bringing more vulnerable sectors, but you're trying to paint a pretty picture because we're going to, you know, discover Columbia County per se, and we're going to do all this show and go stuff. But we've got serious livability issues going on out here. We've got serious problems that I feel like we need. The Sand Island is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, obviously you said you're going to mention it, but 30 plus spaces, where's everybody going to park? As far as the boats, you know, I've lived here because I choose to live here. I could live anywhere I wanted to live. I've grown up here. I live here because I choose to. Where is the money going to go? You guys aren't going to be doing this for free. This is now we're going to inherently privatize part of our public property that all of us people that live in St. Helens have already paid for the docks to go in and all the improvements. You know, I know our police force is working out there tirelessly, and they got it every single day in regards to dealing with people. You know, there was somebody on Allendale just this afternoon in somebody's carport. You know, that you see them on Highway 30, just literally just coming in. You guys want money for the recreation program. I think that if you guys are going to go through with this program, you guys have got to make a commitment to do some kind of work with the recreation program for the youth to get them out on the island and maybe get some awareness in regards to, you know, some marine derived classes, things of that nature, you know, some liaison for the children. You guys want me to spend $2 more a month on my water bill so you guys can have recreational facilities, but you want to give away my public lands to a private person for maybe possibly their benefit. Well, I want to see them give back to the community too. I think that we just need to see about forecasting all these things that are going to be for the positive of everybody, not just for a few people. And I really hope that you guys look thoroughly at all the pros and cons of this, because there's plenty of pros and there's plenty of cons and nothing is perfect. But we definitely need to talk about how we're going to have EMTs and people available to police an area that we're now going to profit off of.
It didn't sound like it. Didn't feel like it. Okay. So we have a
just so you. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Didn't mean to interrupt you. Actually, we've taken EMTs over to that island.
Personally,
right.
You have.
Correct.
Before you were leasing.
That is correct.
Island, and yes.
We tried to.
So
3 minutes.
Yeah, it took him 3 minutes.
Well, it happened to happen while it was business hours, but yeah. Well, 2 in the morning is totally different.
I actually hopped on my boat from 10th Street and was over at the Lewis in 20 minutes at night, pitch black with no spotlight. And I'm not going to go fast because that river has logs and you don't know what it is, but I was there in 20 minutes. So that's pretty good response time if you're talking about my rescue. So,
good rescue.
So we have talked about the policing issue as far as getting the police over there. The EMTs would be no different. They'd call the county or the city and get a ride over there. That's their way over. It's through the county boat. And right now it is. It's the only way. If you're over there and you have a heart attack right now, the only way is somebody's going to have to call on a cell phone. You're not going to have a camp host. Hopefully there's somebody there because you're flopping on the ground and you can't dial your cell phone because you're by yourself. So there's always what ifs. There is every what if scenario. What we are trying to do, and we have nothing to do with the detox. There was that is CCMH opening up the detox. I wish him well. There's a high need for people that are drug afflicted. So, and it's a good, safe place for people to go get well. So, everything that we are trying to do is change. And what I know is people don't like change. The city is growing. The city is growing. It's not little. It's not 7,000, 6,000 in population like it was when I grew up. What is it? It's 13.5. And I would like a chance to speak. You will get a chance to speak if you'd like the opportunity to. So we are trying. It's another way of livening up again to bring life to a downtown area where there is none, where our businesses are failing. Yes, we have 4 different spots for parking. The garbage is not going to end up like it did when it was open before. The island is not going to be trashed. The difference is we're not just hauling people over there, teenagers or whoever, and just leaving them. There will be somebody on site. It will be monitored 24/7. So,
just raise the bar, Rick.
Other neutral people. Well, they'll be like a lights out type hour.
No sleep for the wicked.
Yeah.
No sleep.
Bill Allen, St. Helens. I'm just curious, Brad.
Bill Allen.
Do you have any kind of like map or plot plan or layout where we can kind of see where these sites would be and another?
My partner, I can bring him in finally. Yes, Andrew Nemi of Lower Columbia Engineering does have the beginning of a site plan. Yes.
And another question: is this going to result in any restricted access areas on the island?
Restricted access areas? Well, there's going to be a private campground. So yes, think Fort Stevens, right? I mean, if you're walking down Fort Stevens, there's going to be paths and stuff like that, and you're going to walk close to a campground, right? But you can still walk close to the campground. So really, I don't see a whole lot of the island not being accessible just like it is now. I mean, it's common courtesy not to walk in front of somebody's fire or right by their picnic table, right? I mean, that's all we're talking about. So try to stay on the main paths, and the main paths will stay out of the private campground areas. And so, yeah, I don't see any other restrictions, Bill.
Okay. And I did have a question on the current part with indigents. Like, are they actually tying up at the island? I mean,
yes.
The reason I'm asking that is because I do a lot of research work out on the river. And a perfect example, if you go to Eastern Government Island, there is like 6, 8, 10 boats, and all they do is they park 35 feet offshore and take a rowboat into shore. And you know what you can do to them? Nothing.
Yeah, so try to keep that quiet, Bill. You're exactly right. If they anchor out there and they're not in a navigable channel, there's nothing you can
Brad,
do.
Hush.
Well, to the normal high water mark, or regular watermark anyway.
I'm just throwing that out there because we were doing transect work and it was almost impossible. So many boats.
Totally understand. If you make it uncomfortable for those kind of people, they won't be around. I mean, if you're inspecting their boats and stuff like that, which the Columbia Sheriff can go over there and do safety checks on their boats all kinds of times, they will move on.
Okay.
Okay, I just wondered about the.
Yep.
So I gave 15 for those in favor, 15 for neutral. I'll give 15 for opposed. So if you're opposed, come on up.
Andrew?
My name's Albert Strop, and I live in Scappoose, but I adore that island. And I can't get my hand around that you have a taxed police force as it is, and you want to open up more areas for him to have to patrol. Because is he going to deputize you? Is that what he's going to do? Because you're talking about giving out tickets to boaters.
They have way too hard of a job for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to patrol it.
Are you going to?
He
Are
has
you?
it or not?
But he's going to say he's going to clean up the dock. How's he going to do that? He can't get a ticket.
There will be a camp host over there, and when there's
Are you going to deputize him?
No.
Is he going to be able to give
They
tickets?
will call the police.
Yeah, and then in 20 minutes when the cop gets there, if he's not in the drink already, Chief, how easy is it to deal with the homeless people? Making it difficult for them, does that help a lot?
It's a challenge because homeless people are just, it's a status. It's a crime to be homeless. So we try to offer them resources. We try to, fairly enforce these,
Well, that's not what I heard. I heard we're going to make it difficult for them.
Well, I don't. We want to. From what I interpreted, sir. And again, I agree with you. There's a lot of challenges that we can work out. But it is, to set the tone that the island, if it becomes what the city and everybody's seeking, or not everybody, but then we'd be set the tone, understand the rules, and make sure we message those rules out. But yes, there are a lot of challenges, and I won't lie. I'm concerned myself, but I know. I have confidence in the city council that we'll work through these
Your
challenges.
camp host isn't going to work. You're going to need somebody who is deputized or somebody who has authority. Camp host is going to end up in the drink.
Have you been to Fort Stevens lately?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Fort Stevens is one of the biggest state parks we have. They don't have a camp host who's the deputy.
But they got a road to get a cop there in minimum time.
We have a road also. It just happens to be over the water.
Yeah,
now
it's going to take you 20 minutes. Don't try to fool me here on this. They
I'm
can
not
have the
fooling you.
police there in no time.
Right.
Andrew, I got to have you up here on because this is a public hearing. Yes, yep, I will. Go ahead,
Well,
just real fast.
It's relevant because
Yep.
it's one of the reasons I got involved in this venture with Brad. We own and operate a commercial business kind of on the border of the city limits. And as I hate to keep bringing up the homeless issue, I hope we all as a community find a solution to improve the situation. But as homeless people have been pushed out of areas where they have been for years, there are days where I show up to work at our office to find homeless people camping on our property with their cell phones plugged into the outdoor outlets on our building. And they're there at night because we're not there.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we show up in the morning, they leave. And that's not solving the homeless problem, but it is protecting that ground by being there and having a positive influence. And I'll admit, when Brad came to me with this venture, if he was sitting next to me right now, he'd be kicking me, but I squirmed a bit. I am, first and foremost, a strong advocate for open public access to public ground. I grew up on the lower Columbia River. From the time I was 11 years old, I kept my own skiff on the river, had free run of all of the islands down there, unrestricted access. And so when Brad first mentioned, hey, I'm looking at the island and seeing it unutilized, I'd like to change that, I squirmed. I wasn't real comfortable with it at first because I didn't like the idea of restricting public access in any way, shape, or form. But the reality is there wasn't a big population mass next to those little islands that I used to play on when I was a kid. We didn't have problems with vagrants living out there and making hardworking, honest people that want to camp there uncomfortable being there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happened at Sand Island now. I've lived here for years, and I had not been out there until Brad took me out. And there were people squatting, living in the brush, evidence of drug use. I wasn't even completely comfortable being there. There was no way I would have brought my family out there to camp out there. And so when Brad talked about the improvements that we could make and quite honestly relieve the city of some of the burden, speaking as a citizen right now, the city owns that property, whether we put this campground out there or not. The city's got a liability if some incident were to occur and the city couldn't get emergency personnel out there. The city's got a liability by having a presence there, even if it's not a deputized person 24/7 in the summer. There is a presence. There's someone to call the police department or the sheriff's department.
Yep.
And I think that's relevant.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, so here's the deal. It is 6:45. We're going to go right till 2 before 7, and those opposed. So I'm going to definitely give you your 15 minutes because we're going to go right up to it. So those opposed. Oh, wow. Okay. So, okay.
I'm running for mayor.
You can come on up. Yeah. Oh,
No,
it's
I'm
like
not.
that. It's like that now. Wow. Wow.
Brad.
Thanks, Rick.
Sandy Barnett.
Hi, Sandy.
I'm not opposed. I'm neutral. I live down there. You said there's 4 places for parking.
Mhm.
You haven't addressed the parking to us.
Okay.
Oh, good point.
So,
And that's what I want to hear.
Okay, so we have the public parking back here, which is not utilized. We have a street right of way down the River Street. Is that what it's called?
Between St. Helens Marina and Dillard's Marina, there's an area there that's going to be paved for parking.
And then, okay, so that's number 2. Brad eventually will be able to do something behind his garages eventually. We know that's definitely an option, right?
Back in the canyon, yes.
Yep. And then we have talked about a shuttle from the Farah parking lot, the gravel parking lot, to the marina.
That's by the Boise property for people that don't know where the fair is,
Yep.
yes.
So that's what. The rec center. What's that? Oh, boating parking. There's a lot of dock space over there. There is a ton of dock space, even with a whole Portland Yacht Club coming down. You still have spots to park on our docks or over there. Over there, actually, there's more because there's 2 sets of docks. There's an upper and a lower. So there's probably, I would guess, lineal feet, maybe at least a couple hundred more over there than our docks.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you barely equal what they have on one dock, yeah.
Yep.
Let alone the rafting up of boats and stuff like that, yes.
So you
and
mentioned
go ahead.
you mentioned to me that you would provide a shuttle service or something possibly to get.
Yeah, shuttle or valet or something like that, parking, right. If we need, people drop off their tents and their people and all that kind of stuff, and we take their cars and go park them.
Yep.
Yep.
I have a hard time believing it, but.
I know. Well, it actually did happen before. It did happen before. The city sponsored it. The city had a little barge, and they actually sponsored it. The difference is that we didn't do a very good job monitoring it. We got people over there and back to and from, but we didn't. I know Councilor Locke.
Actually, we did.
Councilor Locke
We did
actually
monitor
worked
it a
pretty.
lot, and if we
worked
found out it
pretty
was a
hard.
problem.
Yeah. Yep.
So if those high school kids are listening, we're going to need some valet parking this summer.
Yeah.
With good driving records, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Somebody else had their hand up. Who were they? He's double dipping. Come on up. You are getting me in trouble right now because you're talking too much. And you're not on the record.
I had a question.
So the deal is parking. What was said for public is that a parking problem is a good problem to have, especially a downtown area.
I had a question just because I used to walk this area a lot when I lived on this side of Columbia instead of that side of Columbia. But I get concerned during fishing season about parking even as it is currently. And I know homeowners get concerned when grandma comes over and there's no place to park. In this process, will there be posted contact information for somebody that is on call at all times? I don't mean be there. I mean, if something goes wrong, somebody that's going to be responsible. You know, whether it's or a way for people to send you information, is there your contact information for questions that you would be willing, or for people aren't you down there at the marine store? Isn't that you?
Yes. Okay. So I think,
could people submit questions to you? Could they submit comments to you? So as you shape this process, people that live on the bluff, that hear all the activities on the island, people that fish down here, people that moor their boats down here, that they have concerns. This is their home.
Yes.
This is their neighborhood. That they can say, gee, I'm really worried about this. You're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Or we've already addressed that. Here's the answer.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to come down here, spend this time in their evening because they're concerned and feel like they weren't heard, their questions weren't addressed. I want to have that avenue for continued feedback.
It's an excellent thing you brought up. Remember, there's a partnership between us and you.
I mean, you guys have oversight on everything that's going on over there. We have to report to you all the time. So yeah,
but-
there's going to be, yeah.
I mean,
they know where the marine. Well, most people know where the marine is.
But I
They-
mean, people that live in St. Helens, 70% of them commute, and they're not home from 8 to 5 when they can come into City Hall to complain. Just trying to think of outside the box when people are camping on a Saturday, how people address that.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead and state your name for the record. And thank you for coming.
Patrick Updahl. My wife was one of the people that said 4, so I need to go home and we'll hash this out. I'm not necessarily against this. I'm not against this per se. The issues that it brought up, we need to deal with. My input would be, our solution isn't going to be a private company. If we open the island to a number of companies to go out there and operate, or if we did a 6-month lease agreement, something that's not locking it in for one business. If we allowed a number of businesses out there, that would be, I think, a safer option for the city.
The whole problem with that is why would a person go out there and invest because there's a lot of work out there. Now,
Sure.
we spend just bare bones cutting out there. I want to say it's probably about $4,000 a year, Neil Shepard, probably about $4,000 sending crews over to mow and just kind of bare bone keep the trails.
You mean $20,000?
20.
Yeah.
Oh, is it 20?
No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
More than that.
And that's not doing what these guys are proposing to do. They're looking at probably, in my eyes, being a landscaper, I would probably guess about $100,000 for labor with tractors and trees and creating the sites back to where they should be.
Okay.
That's
So there's an
pretty
investment, and I realize they should be able to capitalize on that.
Yep.
But if we open that up for other businesses to go out there, and there's a lot of opportunity, I think that would spur the economic opportunity that we're hoping for the city. It would also help with the liability and get more eyes out there.
If anybody's looking
things
at
like
a kite shop in town, they should. That north end of
Sure.
the island.
So-
if you see them out there in Columbia City kiteboarding.
So I think the biggest issue is enforcement. How do we deal with the transient, the homeless issue? That's always going to be an issue that the businesses won't be able to address necessarily. But there are other things. Just don't lock it into a business or a business model. But we got to be fair to them too. It may not be worth the LLC's interest to go out there if they could only get it for a 2-year lease or a 1-year lease.
That's what my point was.
And that's what I would be against. Giving it to them for 50 years or 100 years or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm way too old for 100 years.
And nothing like that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, any other counselors like to? Oh, we have. Come on up.
This is.
Have questions.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Cheryl Morrissey. Can you hear me?
I can, but I don't know if the mic can.
Do I need to turn something on?
No,
Just get closer, Cheryl.
Keep talking into it, Cheryl.
Yes.
You'll be fine.
So we've touched on parking. I'm concerned because I have a boat at the marina. I need a parking space when I go to my boat because I'm always schlepping things. How do you manage that to keep people in their places where they're allowed to park?
Excellent question. Can I answer that one? Because
Yes.
my short-term memory is not so good. So when they book a campsite, there's going to be parking directions involved with that. So it's like you need to do this to park. This is where you need to park your car to come to the campsite, kind of a thing. So that will hopefully alleviate it because I understand. I have to park down there also. Yes.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes.
You should make a schlepping parking spot. right up
It's
front.
been recommended to me more than once already.
10 minute tops. 10 minute tops.
So we've touched on a park host. I understand that this person is not going to have credentials.
Right.
There's a concern there. It has been expressed earlier. I also have a concern that an individual that volunteers for this job may not understand exactly what he's in for, or she.
He or she, correct.
Yes.
It will be well described because that camp host is also going to have to meet the campers when they're coming off the shuttle and drive their tents and supplies over to their campsite on an ATV-ish kind of thing. They got to be able to, sell firewood and drive it over to their campsites. I mean, that's kind of what we're envisioning is somebody that's going to be a very good assistant over there. So they're going to know what they're involved in. It's not going to be a voluntary position. I can guarantee you that. So.
And so right now we have to police it no matter what. It is our island. Matter of fact, the stabbing of the screwdriver was actually a story from my officers, and they said the guy was carrying a concealed carry, and I thought, oh my gosh, could you imagine a shootout on the island? It was actually our officers that went over to address that issue because we're obligated right now, no matter what, to police that.
Well, I have to tell you, I have called 911 on Saturday nights, middle of the night, hearing screaming and sounded like someone was being murdered, and there's nobody available to go there on a weekend.
Well,
so that's another concern.
I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Well, Oregon State Police have Fish and Wildlife, and it's no secret they're short. Columbia County Sheriff's Office short. St. Helens Police Department short. When I mean short, means we wish we had enough officers. So I would say that if you call and there's nobody available, I can believe that that's probably what happened. That there's nobody available to respond. It is, as you broached the subject, Ms. Morrissey, it is a concern because the St. Helens Police Department will not respond with just one officer to Sand Island. I can't, in good faith, send one officer over to any type of disturbance and then hope that they can, the other officer gets over there. It's too dangerous to put our officers in that line of work, in that field. So if we're tied up west of Highway 30 and there's an incident, it's something we're going to have to work out. Because I can tell you that Columbia City or any other agencies, the Sheriff's Department's short. So these will be discussions that have to be had to include getting all of our officers trained in boating and getting all of our officers swim trained. Because technically, if they're on a boat, they have to be trained in swimming. And then that opens another can of worms. We test physically for the ORPAT, which is the standard of state testing, but there's no swim test. So there's a lot of challenges ahead of us, but none that we can't overcome. We just have to work together on this. But if you're asking that you called, and said, hey, I believe it because we don't have the staffing right now. We're working towards it, but as of right now, and that's something that we'll work out with City Council and everybody involved in this to get there. I would use this opportunity that if you are for Sand Island, then those ladies and gentlemen right there, tell them we need more police officers. I'll tell you that right now. Without Sand Island, we need more. So those are the folks who make that decision in the budget committee, and I will tell you that will help, and that'll be a start, because if we have two officers tied up on a Saturday night on a domestic disturbance and they have to go to either to the jail or to Portland Hospital for a mental crisis or something, we don't have anybody to respond. And the Sheriff's Department, as much as we partner with them, may not either. But if we can't respond, then the Sheriff's Office will respond. If they can't respond, then the state will respond. The Coast Guard will not respond unless it's emergency in the water. So I hope that I didn't say too much. And, I'm sure council right now is...
You may have said too much.
Right. No. That's okay. Honesty is always good.
Okay.
We don't have the resources now.
We don't have the resources now.
So now wait a minute. What he did say is that every police agency across Oregon, you can smile because it's true, because I've met with other mayors who get tired of us swapping back and forth, training officers and swapping them to the bigger agencies who can pay more, because we have to pay to have them trained and there's no guarantee. So that's why we came up with our incentive program. So maybe we could hold our officers here for a little length of time. And hopefully, I see one there who's probably going to utilize the program in the back room. And it's one way of us keeping our officers here and living here too as well. So that being said, did you have any other?
I did, but I know my time's up.
Yeah,
I
and we're at 7:01. So
I just want to know about the trash service. How are you going to manage that?
Well,
there could be a lot of trash.
There is, and the funny thing is, we're finally going to have trash cans back over on the island instead of behind my store where all the trash ends up. So yes, we will have trash receptacles and recycling back over on the island, and then that's one of the other things we need to take care of. Yes.
Where will the park hosts live?
Wherever you want to, Cheryl. I hope you're applying.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this public hearing, and we're going to start our regular meeting in about let's shoot for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay.
Fairly easy. It wasn't bad. Shut the whole